What killed faster? The water or the ship itself? Survivors said the ocean stole breath in under a minute, but the ship tore itself open loud enough to drown out screams. In the next 10 beats, we'll plunge into the exact sensations no tour, no movie, no trivia covers. Locked passageways, boats leaving seats empty, and the eerie calm that delayed panic. If you've only heard the legend, you haven't felt the sequence. Watch through, and you'll know why the night turned from orderly to unbearable in 10 brutal steps. Number 1. Boilers roar as the hull breaks. A low boom rolled across the dark. Was it boilers blowing or the ship's back giving way under strain? People heard blasts like far-off thunder, but the hot cores didn't detonate like shells. When floodwater hit red-hot tubes, steam flashed, safety valves lifted, lines burst. That made sharp cracks, long roars, and hissing that layered over each other. As the hull bent, joints tore, bulkheads failed in sequence, and pockets of hot air vented in sudden bursts. The stern's rise changed pressure like a stage curtain dropping. Sound carried clean in cold night air so miles away heard it. Records after the disaster note scalds from live steam, boiler rooms flooding one by one, and sudden decompression when doors gave. The soundtrack wasn't fireballs. It was steam, ruptures, and metal in failure, loud enough to smother voices. Up top, another barrier worked in silence. Number 2. Locked below by design. A stairwell stops at an iron gate. Beyond it, the corridor bends toward fresh air and the boat deck. Some gates stood locked or watched. They made sense in peacetime. Health checks, class lines, inspection routes. But in a rush, they stalled whole families. Third-class paths twisted. Signs were sparse. Many read another language. Crew followed orders and held points until told to move, which 8 minutes they could not spare. Inquiries after the loss flagged choke points and late openings. They noted how routes from low decks funneled into narrow landings, how a few barriers multiplied delay. Survival tallies showed the skew. Rules for segregation and quarantine had shaped where steel and staff would stand. No single lock made the choice for them. A net did. Doors, guards, confusion, turning minutes into losses. And when some finally reached the rail, space still waited. Number 3 seats left for ghosts. A lifeboat drops with room to spare. On deck, families stand within sight of seats. Officers feared a rush and a roll. They sent boats early with gaps between bodies. The sea looked flat. The ship sat level enough to fool the eye so the tempo stayed slow. Urgency lagged, and space drifted away on the falls. Early launches carried far under their rated load. The rule for women and children met crews who had never run a mass drill. Hands fumbled slings and blocks in the dark. Voices argued over who should climb in. Each pause cost places. Inquiry tallies later showed the spread between what a boat could take and what it actually carried. Discipline without full boats left safety hanging over black water, unused. As davits creaked and oars knocked the hull, a new sound spread across the deck. Steady strings under the cold. Number 4. Music against the waterline. Strings carry through the cold. Feet move in measured lines. The band holds a small stage on open deck. What did they play? Hymn or waltz? Accounts split, but the act did the work. Early on, bright tunes kept hands steady on ropes and rails. As the list deepened, the pace slowed. Quick steps turned to slow airs, the kind you hear in a quiet hall. The sound worked like a lantern in fog, small but enough to guide. Some later notes point to autumn. Others remember a hymn. No single verified last song survives. What does stand is the effect. Musicians kept time while the ship lost it. People breathed in rhythm and panic backed off. Whatever the tune, the message was plain. Do not run. Do not shout. Hold your place as the sea climbs. Then the cold met lungs, and the clock started. Number 5. Cold. That shuts down the lungs. The first breath in that water steals the second. The chest locks, and the body panics before the mind can plan. People feared waves or creatures, but shock did the work. Near freezing, nerves fire an involuntary gasp. Breathing surges fast and shallow. Heart rate spikes. Cold on the skin drives pain, then numbness. Hands lose grip in minutes, so zippers, ropes, even a whistle slip away. Physiology is blunt in 0 to 2 degrees Celsius water. Cold shock hits in the first minute. Then swimming muscles fail. Arms and legs feel heavy. Speech breaks into gasps. Within a short span, thinking dulls, and blackout comes while the heart strains. You do not outswim chemistry. You cannot time your breath against it. Most didn't swim to exhaustion. They were muted by cold faster than hope could organize. Those who stayed afloat encountered a quieter end. Number 6. Frozen where they floated. Dawn laid out a still field. Bodies hung upright in cork vests, arms fixed, faces crusted with frost. Life jackets kept them from sinking, but not from the night. Recovery crews met figures held stiff by cold air and slower water. The calm look came from muscles locked, skin chilled, and ice forming on sleeves and collars. Wind over wet cloth stole heat fast. Near freezing seas soaked layers, then froze where spray met air. Long hours before retrieval meant joints set, clothing hardened, and beards and hair iced into white masks. Logs from recovery runs describe rigid forms and frozen garments. Cork pads rode high, but they trapped cold water against wool, keeping the chill close to skin. Safety gear turned the surface into a quiet gallery. It froze the moment in place and showed how close help was and how slow it felt. Then the metal began to speak. Number 7. The metal screamed. They said the ship made an animal sound. Metal, alive for a moment, crying as it tore. Steel under strain will sing. Rivets shear like snapped teeth. Bulkheads bow, then buckle, and the note slides from low groan to sharp crack. In cold air, that voice carries clean, so the deck hears it, and the boats hear it too. Flooding pulled the bow down and levered the stern up. The keel took a bend it never met in trials. Frames groaned. Decks parted. Then a final rip marked the break. Studies of the breakup point to brittle fracture in low temperature and a chain of failures moving through decks and keel. Not drama. Mechanics at full volume. What people call screams were physics made audible. A warning bell no one could answer. After the split, the stern's high lift set the sea moving around it. Number 8. Dragged by the rising stern. The stern lifted and the sea moved with it. People close to the hull felt the water take hold and pull. Arguments linger over suction versus surge, but the experience was simple. Bodies drifted toward steel as the ship went down. A sinking mass displaces water like a slow press on a giant piston. Inflow rushes to fill the void and sets short, violent currents. Near the stern, hazards stacked. Propeller blades rose near the surface, churning flow even when still. Debris fell through, pushing water downward. When the hull plunged, downwash and cross currents tangled, and swimmers lost control. Hydrodynamic modeling cuts through the myth. No giant whirlpool, but strong inflows and turbulence near a large sinking hull can overwhelm any stroke. Call it suction or surge. Up close, the sea chose your path. Below, another barrier closed, by design and by duty. Number 9. Shut in by safety. A lever drops, steel doors slide. The sea meets the men first. Watertight doors were built to keep a hull alive, not every soul behind it. When they sealed, they split crews from ladders, light, and higher decks. Warnings rang, but in flooding trunks and ash-choked passages, half a minute meant none at all. Hydraulic gear pulled plates down fast. Men on the wrong side felt the stop in their hands. Testimony after the loss describes controls in the engine flats and bridge signals for closure. Orders held steady. Keep steam up, keep current on. Some stayed at furnaces and dynamos to feed lights and pumps, knowing their exits were gone. The system worked as designed. It drew a hard line. Containment bought minutes for those above. It cost lives below. The next loss was closer. It happened at arm's reach, and no door could hold it back. Number 10. The final hand let go. Hands reached, then slipped. In boats and in the water, people watched the person they loved go under. Calm, early choices held firm. Stay together, wait your turn. But the cold clock ran faster. Boats kept a safe gap, afraid of a rush and a roll. That distance looked wise on deck and cruel on the waves. A few yards felt like a wall. Many accounts describe a last touch, a last word, then silence. Darkness hid faces. Spray blurred voices. The band's echo thinned, and the night filled with thousands of small goodbyes. You see it in the pauses survivors recall. Long minutes with no new sound, only breath and oars. Records dwell on what came after. Survivors carry the shock of separation and the long quiet before rescue lights. Memory kept what the water took. It still pulls at the story, even when the list ends.